Hey, Shalom, Akim, Shalom. First thing and foremost, I want to give all praises and glory and honor that's due to Yahweh Bashim, Yahweh Shai, Bashim, Rakakwadash. Double honors unto the elders, the apostles of Great Millstone, and blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect. Noise in the gospel, brother, lifting up the standard of Yahweh Bashim, Yahweh Shai, wherever it may be. It's the Akim Mahalaya coming back with another lesson through the Spirit. Lord's will to be edifying. I was just kind of doing some research, and as they say, Happy Turkey Day, which that's just plain stupidity. All right. For one thing, if you tribes knew anything about today's history and the massacre of the Native American Indians, Taino Indians, Mexican Indians, which are the indigenous tribes of this land, all right, which happens to be Israelites, by the way, you Israelites would know that this is not a day to be worshiping or celebrating. In fact, this is a day of mourning and a derogatory toward the tribes, man. You know, that's just equivalent to you Jakes wearing crosses on your neck to solidify the crucifixion of Yahweh Shai, which that's a shameful thing, okay, to be nailed on a tree. Okay, that was the capital punishment for transgressors and capital offenders in the Roman Empire at that time. Okay, because the Roman Empire had province over Judea and the land of Israel at the time. So with that being said, you Israelites, man, you are still lost in the sauce. You're still carried away by your old traditions that you've incorporated 400 or 500 years ago. And a lot of you Jakes are in fact indigenous people of the land. You so-called Negroes, you got what they consider Native American blood in you. You know what I'm saying? Whether you be Seminole, Choctaw, Cherokee, Blackfoot Indian, whatever you want to call it. Because you also had the Seminole Wars, which were a lot of Judites that was actually in platoon with Gad and Reuben to fight off the cavalry Esau Edom. So a lot of you have history and roots traced back to this land, okay? Because what you're dealing with now is what they call the doctrine of discovery, all right? And this is what the demon Vocal Malone deals with, the doctrine of discovery and replacement theology, because he wants to promote that Calvinism garbage down our people's throat. And he's mad. He can't deal with the fact that the truth is coming out. Okay, like the scriptures say that the flood, roughly paraphrasing, that the earth helped the woman. Okay, going into the different artifacts and the different historical evidence that we've been finding that we're the true people of the land, or the true people of the Bible, should I say. Esau can't deal with it, and this is why you bugged out Christians are coming forth with your perverse doctrines, which you Christians are you're a joke, man. All right. It's to the point, man, I stopped responding to Vocal Malone a long time ago. It's a waste of time. You ask me to keep dealing with this guy, but we understand that it's souls to be won in these churches. So the Spirit have us hopping on it. So anyway, just brief information. Wasn't going to be a long lesson. It says, forum speaker. This article came out May 9th, 2012, a council. All right, it says forum speaker says doctrine of discovery, shameful roots of today's indigenous oppression, remnants still evident, Salakia, and many constitutions must be removed. Okay, like you had something which is called the Indian Removal Act. You can look that up and get the details on it. All right, you had some a president by the name of Andrew Jackson, which he's on the $20 bill, which they basically call him the Indian Slayer, man. Okay, I believe he was the one that was behind what they call the Trail of Tears, when you had Gad walking down from the Seminole Plains of Florida all the way up into the Northlands. Okay, because we were known to have some of the harshest winters here in America at that time. And hey, Jake, Gad, they taught Esau on how to survive off the land because they wasn't used to the terrain and the harsh winters on this side of the world. You see what I'm saying? They showed them how to fillet buffalo skin and sheepskin, etc., and use them for coats and tents and all that other stuff. God taught Esau a lot of these things, and what did he do? He backstabbed them, okay, and took the land, and he set up his oppressive governments on this land of Babylon now, which is what you see today. This is why when you go downtown, you have court buildings, you have IRS tax office, you have federal reserves, all set up to oppress and tax you. Okay, when Native Americans was over here, they didn't believe in taxing, all right, or taxing or oppression, though they were oppressing each other, okay, among the tribal wars. But even then, you know, as far as the oppression today, it doesn't compare, okay? So it says the United Nations Permanent Forum on Indigenous Issues today again rang with strong calls on former colonial governments to reassess their constitutional arrangements and restore the First Nation status of Native peoples, and on the Catholic Church to openly denounce the centuries old doctrine of discovery. And this is what Vocab believes in: doctrine of discovery, okay, and replacement theology. John Calvinism was basically a fucking murderer, man. You know, he wasn't a righteous man. And this is the guy that Vocab No Class Malone, he follows this guy. And then his goal is to really get other Israelites. He don't care about his own people. He wants to deter Israelites from waking up to their true heritage as being the sons and daughters of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. That's Vocab's, man. That's his goal. That's why I stated that that guy must be an agent, man. He gotta be. Because his doctrine has been filleted every way from Friday, and yet this guy's still coming with that replacement theology madness. Because he basically telling you in a roundabout way, he agrees with the slaughtering of the indigenous people of the land. He agrees with God being put on reservations, Negroes being put in slavery. Okay, the Christianity, you had something which is called the Spanish Inquisition. Okay, which you had early so-called Jewish settlers that was down in Mexico at the time, and you had secret books that were written about how these men invented these particular torture rack devices, and then they were using them on Gad, Reuben, Issachar, all right, because during the Spanish Inquisition, I believe this is when, I believe Columbus was pretty much, I'm trying to think, was he on this side of the world at that time? But either way it goes, those Edomites were expelled out of Europe. All right, and a lot of those Israelites that they had over here, they shipped back over there and they colonized them and they tortured a lot of them. All right, so for you Issacharites out there to think that you Spanish or Espanol is your language, that's not your true native tongue. You were speaking in Lashawan Kodash, or the Hebrew, okay, which is known as the Holy Tongue or Biblical Hebrew, okay? But it says, while many civil societies represent said was the shameful root of humiliation and marginalization indigenous people still suffer today. And when you see God, man, they on reservations, all right? They're drunk. They're dying from fucking drugs, etc. You know, they in slums. It's just a mess, man. All right, you look at like the what is it called? The Redwood Forest, I believe, out there in Northern Cali. Beautiful forest. Esau cut down 95% of it, man. All right, you see? So Esau has to go, because he's nothing more but the devil that the Bible speaks about. And it says, as the permanent forum continued its dialogue with indigenous people, groups, and government officials on the impact of the doctrine of 15th century Christian dogma, which is what is dogma, you know, it is dogma. And look up the word dogma. It says that provided religious justification for the seizures by early explorers of native lands and resources, which later became embedded in international law and policy. It says speakers broadly agreed that it was vitally important to remove the disturbing remnants of the concept still evident in the constitutions of the United States, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, as well as African countries. Up, you see the connection between Jake and Gad. It says in countries of Latin America and the Caribbean. That go to 12 tribes right there. You notice, that's all 12 tribes. So those laws will impugn on all 12 tribes, man. Okay, Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. Though they're not going to come out and say it, but they just said it right here. All right. It says African countries, which they're talking about the west and the northern coast of Africa, like Sierra Leone. Okay. What's another one? I'm not too familiar with a lot of northern African and western African countries like that. I actually stopped studying. I need to get back on that history. But Sierra Leone, you have different places out there, man. You got, you know, we had this guy speaking of the Bantu tribes, but you do have Israelites among the Bantu peoples, but a lot of those people reside in the Congo. A lot of them are not Israelites, and a lot of them are. But nonetheless, this is the connection that they're pretty much coming together and showing the people, like, look, these are the 12 tribes we took down. You know, for all you skeptics out there. But it says a representation or representative of the National Congress of Australia's first people said that in January, an expert panel on constitutional recognitions of the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people had presented a consensus report to the Australian government calling for such a referendum to be held on the Constitution. Such a measure would, among others, repeal this section allowing state governments to target racial groups or exclude them from voting to ensure that indigenous languages would be recognized as a unique part of Australian heritage. All right, and that's all I'm going to read on that. This is pretty lengthy. But regardless of it is, you tribes, man, you're not going to get nothing from this devil. Like, they shot down your reparations, man. Okay, so you ain't going to get anything because how they going to pay it out? And even if they did pay out so-called reparations, you're still going to be taxed on it. It's still not real money. It's fiat currency. So the real reparations come in the form of the kingdom of heaven that you Israelites are not really looking forward to. All right, because this is another article here going into Thanksgiving, the annual genocide whitewash. Okay, because, you know, when we were young, they taught us about pilgrims and Indians, and basically the Indians were the bad guys. The pilgrims came over here in peace and all this other blah, blah, blah. Okay, but this article goes in how Thanksgiving is a farce and how our people solely trust in the so-called white man, because it says land grabs and massacres. It says by 1637, Jensen Rice, Massachusetts Bay Colony Governor John Winthrop was proclaiming that a Thanksgiving for the successful massacre of hundreds of Pequot Indian men, women, and children. They killed over fucking 99 million Native Americans, man. A bloody pattern that will repeat itself across the continent. Between 95 and 99% of American Indians have been exterminated. So, you Jake celebrating Thanksgiving, man, but you claim to be a people of God. How can you be people of the Most High when you don't know the history of what happened? You don't even consider. You just grew up in a tradition and just attach it to yourself, man, when there's no custom of ours. Because it says predatory capitalism. It says vigorous campaigns to whitewash its criminal history vis-a-vis the Native Americans. If you make victims disappear, there's no crime. So this is their way of trying to wash it. Okay, like what you got, iconoclasm. Icon means image. Clasm means to cover. So when they covered and defaces the images of the indigenous people and the people of the Bible, making them so-called white people, it's easy to hide that history. Okay, and for people to not understand that the people that once ruled Europe, Spain, Britain, France were all people of color. You know, they can hide that history because therefore it's been whitewashed. You see what I'm saying? But the Spirit of the Lord is that cold, because now, hey, the scriptures say how are things of Esau being sought up? How is this hidden things being found? Roughly paraphrasing. All right, so this is the book of Genesis 49 and 19. It says, Gad, a troop shall overcome him, but he shall overcome at the last. The troop is the cavalry. The cavalry. Okay, we understand the history of the cavalry when they came over here and took down the indigenous people. Okay, the Native Americans, the Seminole Indians, Taino Indians, all Israelites, man. All right, it says, but he shall overcome at the last, because God, man, they're waking up. And believe it or not, a lot of these brothers in these camps that look like Judites, Benjamites, Levites, a lot of them are actually Gadites or Reubenites, man. You know, like my sister, she looks like a so-called black woman, but if you really pay attention to her, she's a Seminole Indian, man, through her grandfather, through her father's side of the family. You know, because when I look at her, she kind of have features that Apostle Bakar have. I'm like, yeah, she's Northern Kingdom. She looks like a nigga, which they're all black women, you know, but she's not from the southern tribes. But a person that's looking at her, you won't be able to tell. But she have high cheekbones, you know, she got that particular skin color. She looks like one of them. You know what I'm saying? Even my mother, you know, my mother is of Native American descent. You know, my grandmother, same thing. My father on the other side, Haitian descent, Creole. But even his mother, same thing, which is my grandmother, it got Native American blood in him, which a lot of Jakes do. Okay, because you're through the seed of your fathers, as we've been going into these last couple of days, because you got this one clown out there speaking on, and I need to go into that too, basically speaking on how he cut basically you being the seed of your fathers, man. The scriptures is the scriptures, bro. All right, you are what your father is. Your father's an Issacharite. Your mother can be a freaking Hamite from Congo somewhere. Guess what? You're Issacharite, bro. You just feel some type of way because Hey, you don't want brothers to deal with other nations, man, but you can't stop that. This is the reason why you Jakes that been in America too long, you have that emotional energy about you. But no, man, you can't be dealing with no white woman. Why the hell not? You think the 12 tribes of Israel were bought for by Israelite women? No, they were heathen women. You know what I'm saying? 4 different heathen women. Was Moses' wife Zipporah? She wasn't an Israelite. She was an Ethiopian. So there you go, man. And guess what? Moses' son, his kid were Israelites. So now what? That cuts what you're saying. Fucking clown. Anyway, going to the book of Psalms 55, and I'm going to start at verses 20. It says, he hath put forth his hands against such as be at peace with them. He hath broken his covenant, right? He's broke over 450 treaties with the Native American Indians. It says, and the words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet they were drawn swords, right? Because, yeah, Esau, he does that. You know, come up to y'all, we're going to give you the land, we're going to split everything. Why the hell do they need to split anything with you when they already had it? That would be stupid. Why would you Native Americans even allow the fall for Esau's bullshit, man? You had the land. This was your land. Why would you trust them, man? But that was the Lord ultimately intervening because that was prophecy. Like if you watch the movie Apocalypto, hey, Jake was into all types of ritualistic sacrifice. They were literally sacrificing dead bodies on the altar, man. They were literally eating organs. Jake was wicked. And at the end of the movie, hey, the Calvary showed up, man. That was the Most High coming to visit you in the form of Esau Edom. You see, so they had to go down because it was part of prophecy. All right. But anyway, that's pretty much it on that. Didn't have too much more to speak on, but giving all praises and glory and honor that's due to Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. And with that, Shalom and a Baba Ball.